Good morning, students of class 8. Today we are here to continue with our online bio classes. In the previous class, you studied about the different methods by which materials are transported in the plants, like diffusion. Once again, I will recall what is diffusion: the movement of molecules, particularly solvent molecules or the water molecules, from higher to lower concentration. Example, diffusion of gases. Second one we studied was osmosis, the movement of molecules, particularly which molecules? It is the water molecules from higher to lower concentration by passing through a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane was required in osmosis. In diffusion it is not required. Then we studied about the third one, that is active transport. So what is active transport? It is the movement of molecules from lower to higher concentration against the concentration gradient. Example I am showing, like this is the root here, cell, and these are the minerals or the nutrients. Now you can find that the nutrients are present in less quantity inside the soil particles. It is present in more quantity or large quantity inside the root hair cells. Now from lower to higher concentration, this movement of minerals or the ions like potassium, sodium, which are needed for the growth of plant, they are transported from the region of lower concentration to the region of higher concentration. This movement of minerals from lower to higher concentration against the concentration gradient. Concentration gradient means high to low, not low to high. But here the movement of molecules of minerals occur from lower to higher. That's why it is called against the concentration gradient, and for this energy is required, which comes by the process of respiration in the form of ATP. So ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. It is called the energy currency of the cell. So this energy is needed in order to transport the minerals against the concentration gradient, that is forcefully from lower to higher concentration in the root hair cells. Okay. Now next one is, what is the pathway of water absorbed by the roots? We know that the roots absorb water and minerals from the soil. Now how these water molecules move from one part of the root to the other and finally it reach up to the leaves? What are the different steps involved in it? So for this, I will just draw a simple diagram first, and through the diagram only it can be explained. Like the water which is available to the plants, it is present in the form of, like this is the soil particle. I am drawing the soil particle, okay, first. So these are the soil particles. Okay. Now this one is one of the root here. Alright. What is it? It is a root here, and these are the soil particles. Got it? Now these soil particles contain water molecule, that is a film of water is present. Around each and every soil particles there is a layer of water. So film of water, or water film we can write. Water film. Film means layer. A layer of water is present around the soil particles. Okay. I'll just put a circle around all the soil particles. And what are they? They are the soil particles. So I'll just label it. It is known as soil particles. Means small pieces of soil which is there, and this is the root here. As you can see, root here is the extension of epidermal cell. So this is the layer of epidermal cells. I will draw the epidermal cells here. Okay, these are epidermal cells. Okay, now next is the layer of cortex. So cortex is a multi-layered, means 3-4 more than that layers of cells are present. This is called cortical layer or the cortex. Okay, cortical layer. What is it? I am drawing. It is the cortex. It is the layer of cells which are present below the epidermis. Okay. Okay, let's start now. So the water molecules which are present as a thin layer, film means layer, around the soil particles, they move from the region of higher concentration because water molecules are present in large quantity inside the root hair cells, but it is present in very less quantity inside the root hair cells. In the soil particles, they are present in higher concentration. That is, more water is present here in the soil, less in the root hair cells. So from the region of higher to lower concentration, the water molecules will move by passing through the semi-permeable membrane of the root hair cell. This is called osmosis. So osmosis is the process by which water molecules move from higher to lower concentration by passing through the semi-permeable membrane. Now this water molecule will travel from the epidermal cells to the cortical cells. These are called cortex, C-O-R-T-E-X, cortex. What is cortex? It is the name given to the layer of cells which are present below the epidermis. This is also known as epidermis. The outermost layer of cells is called epidermis. Okay? So epidermis, below that cortex. Then we have endodermis. Another layer of cells is present which is called endodermis. Okay? Endodermal layer. I will just draw it roughly so that you can understand. This layer of cells is called endodermis. Okay? Just below that we have the pericycle, another layer of cells which is called pericycle. Okay, endodermis, then we have the pericycle. Finally, we have the conducting tissues, that is xylem and phloem. So xylem and phloem, I will show the xylem like this. Hexagonal in shape. Okay. Can you see the diagram? Now, when the water molecules are absorbed from the soil particles, it enters into the root hair. This is the root hair, elongation of epidermal cell. Now these water molecules move because now the epidermal cell or the root hair cell has higher concentration of water as compared to the cortical cell. Because there is less water in the cortical cells, here there is more water. So again, by the process of osmosis, the water molecules will move from the root hair cell to the cortical cell. From one cortical cell to the next cortical cell, like this to the next cell. It will keep on moving till it will enter into the xylem vessels. These are the xylem vessels. This is the phloem. Phloem is the one which helps in the conduction of food, and xylem is the one which helps in the transportation of water and minerals. So they are the xylem, okay? Conducting tissue, and this one is the phloem, the one which helps in the transportation of food. So you can see in this diagram, this one show the pathway of movement of water molecules from the soil particles into the cortex of the root, and from there it enters into the xylem, and after that from the root xylem into the stem xylem, and then it is transported to the upper parts of the plant to reach up to the leaves, stems, branches and all other parts of the plant. So hope you have understood this one, that what is the pathway of water absorbed by roots. First, the water molecules which are surrounding the soil particles, they move from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration inside the root hair cells by the process of osmosis. So now water molecules have moved from the soil into the root hair cell, and similarly from the root hair cell it enters into the cortical cells because of the changes or difference in concentration gradient, because now this root hair cell has higher concentration of water and the cortical cell has lower concentration of water. So water molecules will move from the root hair cell to the cortical cell, and from one cortical cell to the next cortical cell it will keep on moving, and finally it will reach the endodermal cells. From endodermal cell to the pericycle, from there it enters the xylem vessels, that is the one which helps in conduction of water and minerals. From one xylem to the next xylem it will enter, and finally from the root xylem the water molecules enter into the stem xylem. Now once the water molecules are moving from cell to cell, this movement of continuous movement of water, inward movement it is, from one cell to the other creates a pressure, and this is known as root pressure. So what is root pressure? The continuous movement of water molecules from one root cell to the next cell creates a pressure inside the root hair cells or inside the root, that is known as root pressure. And this root pressure is responsible, means it is the one which helps the water molecules to push to the upper parts of the plant up to a certain height. But alone the root pressure cannot supply water to the tip of the tall trees. There are many other factors which are responsible for the movement or the conduction of water and minerals from the roots to the upper parts of the plant. But this osmosis is one of them, root pressure is one of them. Similarly, other factors are also there in the ascent of sap. So what is ascent of sap? Ascent of sap means the movement of water and minerals from the root hair cell to the upper parts of the plant, that is to the leaves, stems, branches. That is called ascent of sap. So hope you have understood this one. What is the pathway of water absorbed by roots? Now the next topic that we have to study is mineral nutrition in plants. Okay, what is mineral nutrition in plants? You know that all the organisms need minerals for proper growth and development. One example I will say, in our body we need calcium. It is said, no, it's very common. Calcium is needed for strong bones and teeth. Similarly, other minerals are there which are required for the proper work or the functioning of different parts of the body. Like iron is a mineral which is needed for the formation of hemoglobin, which is a part of our blood. Similarly, the plants also need minerals for the proper growth and development. And these minerals are needed for various vital metabolic processes like photosynthesis, respiration. To carry out all these different activities, plants need the minerals. And these minerals are classified into two groups. So first I will rub this one. So the minerals which are needed by the plants are classified into two groups. What are they? Macronutrients and micronutrients. We need to learn both of them, macro and micronutrients. So first one is, what is macronutrients? So mineral nutrition in plants. Next topic we are doing mineral nutrition in plants. Okay. Plants need minerals for proper growth and development for different activities. Now there are two types of minerals. What are they? Number A, macronutrient, and number B, micronutrient. What are they? What is the definition? I will explain it just now along with the examples and their functions. So plant need minerals, and these minerals are of two types. The nutrients are of two types. What are they? Macronutrient. What is macronutrient? Let's come to the macronutrient first. Macro means large quantity or bigger quantity. So nutrients which are required by the plant in large quantity is called macronutrients. Minerals or the nutrient needed, you can write nutrients also, needed by the plants in large quantities are called macronutrients. Okay, so what is the definition of macronutrients? The nutrients or the minerals which are needed by the plants in large quantity. Like they need plenty of these minerals. Okay, like example you can say they need the minerals like calcium, magnesium. They need the minerals like iron, sulfur. So we'll list the name of the main minerals which are required. Example you can write NPK. It is an abbreviated form. NPK, it is the name of a fertilizer also which is given to the plants for their proper growth and development. N stands for nitrogen, P stands for phosphorus, and K is the symbol of potassium. K means kalium, that is the scientific name or the Latin name of potassium. So what are the uses of all these? One by one we will study. Like, why do plants need nitrogen in large quantity? Okay, nitrogen, you know, is the constituent of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of protein. They are the structural and functional unit of proteins. So for the plants to grow, they need tissue, and for that the tissues are made with the help of amino acids, and to make that amino acids nitrogen is required. So nitrogen is one of the constituent of proteins, plant proteins. Okay, so what is the function of nitrogen? It is required for the growth and development of plants. So one of the function of nitrogen is it is required for protein synthesis. Required for, already I said, protein synthesis. Means in order to make proteins, plants need nitrogen, and these proteins are required so that they can form the tissues, different types of plant tissues that can help them in their growth and development. Now the second one is phosphorus. Let's see what is the function of phosphorus. Plants need phosphorus in order to carry out the function of opening and closing of this cells, or help in the phosphorus is there in our ATP. Just now I said adenosine triphosphate. You remember that? I said the word ATP, which is energy currency of the cell, and its full form is adenosine triphosphate. Tri means three. Phosphate means it is made up of phosphorus. So it forms energy rich compounds like ATP, ADP. So it helps to produce energy or provide energy, you can write. Provide or produce energy in the plants in the form of energy rich compounds like ATP, ADP and all. So first one is nitrogen. The function is it is required for protein formation. Second one is phosphorus. It is needed for energy production. Then the third one, that is potassium. What is the function of this potassium? The symbol is Kz. Potassium is needed in the plants to help in the process of opening and closing of stomata. There is one theory called potassium ion concentration theory, which regulates the opening and closing of stomata. So I can, no place, but still I will write here, regulate the opening and closing of stomata. Regulate the opening and, I'll just rub this one. Regulate the opening and closing of stomata. Regulate the opening and closing of stomata. So helps in control the opening and closing of stomata. Regulate the opening and closing of stomata. Means stomatal opening and closing is controlled by potassium, regulated by potassium. Then the second one is it helps to maintain the electrolyte balance. Maintains the electrolyte balance. What is electrolyte? You know that electrolyte is the name of the salts or the minerals which are present that helps to maintain the equilibrium. So maintains the electrolyte balance in the plant cells. And the third and the last, that is the important function of potassium, is it is required to regulate the process of transpiration. So regulate transpiration, you can write. What is transpiration? Transpiration is the loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. So what we studied, that in mineral nutrition, plants need different types of minerals for carrying out different types of functions. And there are two types of minerals. What are they? Macronutrients and micronutrients. Now what is macronutrients? Already I have rubbed. The nutrients which are needed by the plants in large quantity are called macronutrients. Like they eat more of this, they need more. That's why it is called macronutrients. And one example is there, NPK. NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Now what is the function of nitrogen? It is required for protein synthesis because it helps to form the amino acids, which are the structural and functional unit of proteins. Then phosphorus, it forms energy-rich compounds like ATP, ADP. So that's why it provides energy to the plant cells. And the third one is potassium. The symbol is K. It regulates the opening and closing of stomata, first function. Second, maintain the electrolytic balance, that is the balance of electrolytes in the plant cell. And it also helps to regulate the process of transpiration in the plants. Now next we have magnesium. Magnesium is also one important, it's not mentioned here, only NPK I said, Mg the symbol of magnesium. It is also a type of macronutrient. And what is the function of magnesium? It helps in the formation of chlorophyll because it is present in the center of chlorophyll, this magnesium, okay? So you can write magnesium, Mg, formation of chlorophyll. Formation of chlorophyll. What is chlorophyll? It is a pigment which gives green color to the plants. Like if the leaves are green in color, it's due to the presence of chlorophyll. To make that chlorophyll, magnesium is required. It is found in the center of the structure of chlorophyll. Okay? So hope you have understood this one. Now next topic is micronutrients. So I will rub this one now. Macronutrients already we have done. Now the second type of nutrients, the one which is needed by the plants in very less quantity, that is called micronutrient, not macronutrient. Macro already we have done. So second one is micronutrient. Micro means less, small. So what is micronutrients? The nutrients needed by the plant. The nutrients needed or required by the plants in very less quantity, in very less quantities, are called micronutrients. Now since these nutrients are needed in very less quantity, they are also called trace elements. What are they? Trace element. Trace means the one needed in less quantity, so they are also known as trace elements or the trace minerals, also called trace elements. Okay, now next one is what are the different types of micronutrients, the examples and their functions also. For this we have to rub. Now two examples of micronutrients which is needed by the plants in very less quantity and what is their function, like manganese and zinc. Example also you can write here. Just now we studied one magnesium. The symbol of magnesium is Mg, but now it is M small n, capital M small n. This one stands for manganese. Okay, and the second one is Zn, that is zinc. Manganese and zinc. If you want I can write it here. First one, manganese. The symbol is Mn. Okay. The second one is zinc. Symbol is Zn. These are the two micronutrients. Now what are the functions of manganese and zinc? Manganese is a component. Component means it is a part of different types of plant enzymes. You know what is enzymes? Enzymes are the biocatalyst which helps to accelerate, that is alter the rate of biochemical reactions. They can either increase the speed of the reaction or decrease it without itself undergoing any change. They are not used in the reaction. Okay. So what is the function of manganese? It helps to form the enzymes, different types of enzymes plants in the required in the plants for carrying out different types of functions. Like Ribisco is the name of the enzyme. Some enzymes are needed for photosynthesis. Some are helpful in respiration also. Respiration is of course an enzyme catalyzed reaction, means each and every step of respiration during which energy is produced is done in the presence of a particular enzyme. To make that enzyme, manganese is needed. Understood now? Now the next one is zinc. Zinc helps in the formation of zinc is required for the activation of enzyme. Activation, one is required for the formation. This is required for the formation of enzyme, to make the enzymes, and this one is required for activation of enzymes, to activate the enzymes. Okay, means to make them ready to work. Simply forming the enzymes is not sufficient. Once the enzymes are formed, they need to be activated. Activated means now they are ready to carry out their work, means switched on, so that they can start their functions. So what we studied today, let's recap. Today we started our second biology class, I hope second only, with the process of active transport. In the previous class we had studied up to diffusion and osmosis. Today we started with what is active transport. It is the movement of molecules from lower to higher concentration against the concentration gradient. Example, mineral ions like sodium, potassium, calcium, they move from lower concentration, in the soil there is lower concentration, to the root hair cells where there is higher concentration by the expenditure of energy. Then we studied the pathway of movement of water molecules, that how the water molecules move from the soil into the root hairs and then to the upper parts of the plant. Then we studied it was the process of osmosis, by which water molecules surrounding the soil particles enter into the root hair cell, and from one root hair cell to the next root hair cell to the cortical cell, it enters by the same process of osmosis due to differences in concentration gradient. Then we started with the mineral nutrition in plants, and we studied that like animals, plants also need minerals for carrying out different types of biochemical reactions or functions in their body. And then the plant nutrients are further classified into two types according to their requirements. Like if they need the nutrients in large quantity, they are called macronutrients. Example of macronutrients we studied NPK, that is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Nitrogen helps to form amino acids, that is the structural and functional unit of proteins. So nitrogen helps in the formation of proteins. Then we studied about the phosphorus as well as about the potassium and their functions. Then we studied about the micronutrients. Micronutrients are the nutrients which are needed by the plants in very less quantity. Example, we studied two types. What are they? Manganese and zinc. Now what is the function of manganese? The symbol of manganese is M small n, capital M small n. It helps in the formation of enzyme. Okay, and second one, that is zinc, symbol is capital Z small n. It helps in the activation of enzymes. So today after here, I'll give the homework. You can do it in your copy, some questions as well as diagram, and we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.